For example, when you say, for example, for each department that have more than something, it means that for each department you use loop by and then having some conditions. So we use have. Now about joins, we didn't explicitly talk about joins yet, but you have seen several examples where I joined, for example, two tables using one form of joining tables, which is simply listing the tables, separate them with the comma, and use the verb command. So I'm going to explain what are the other ways of joining tables. So first of all, you use join whenever you need your result or your data coming from multiple tables. So for instance, in the staff table, we have a staff name, department number, salaries, and so on. In the organization table, we have the department number, department name, location, and some other information, manager, and something else, right? So if I ask you, for example, to find, for example, a staff name, salary, and their location, right? Staff name and salary are in the staff table. On the other hand, the location is in the organization table. So you need to join these two tables, right? Or for example, back to the example that we frequently use before a student registration, we know that the student table contains student information, right? And we may also have, for example, instructor ID as a foreign key. For example, in the course table, we have course information, and we may have instructor ID also as a foreign key, right? So if I ask you, for example, finding the name of, for example, the course, ID of the course, and so on, all the information exists in the course table. But what if I want to find the name of the instructor and the office of the instructor, right? For example, for a specific course. Then in that case, the course information is in the course table, but the instructor name and office or location is in the instructor table. So you need to join these two tables. So if your data comes from more than one table, 2, 3, 4, whatever tables, you need to join these how many tables. How do you do that? How do we join tables? Hello. Foreign keys, yes? So we link table using foreign keys. Now you see how it's going to be useful now when you learn joins. Now tables are often, not always, joined through the link of foreign keys. And I'm going to also give you an example of where we join, when we join tables, not using foreign key, but another common field. Like in general, whatever column that is common between two tables is where you can join those tables. For example, in our example, just look at the staff and organization table. Looking at the staff and organization table, tell me what are the ways that we can join this table. So here, how can we join these two tables? If I ask you this to answer my question, check for the common fields or common columns. What are the common columns here? Department number. Department number is foreign key in the staff table, right? Because it's a primary key in the organization table. And this is how we, 99% of times, we join tables using foreign keys. But sometimes, some tables have more than one common attribute, which is the case here. And we can join using that column too, which is which column?
Staff ID and manager ID.
Staff ID and manager ID, right? So now these two columns are the same because managers are actually the staff, right? That's just their role. And so this is another way to join them. Now you'll see what is the difference and how they affect the results differently. So I covered these. So let's say we want to find the course code, course name, and instructor name for each course. Okay. So if let's say in the course table, you have course code, course name, and instructor ID. Okay? And then in the instructor table, you have instructor ID, instructor name, office, and so on. Because you want instructor name and instructor name is not in the course table, you need to join these two tables. Through what? As I said, most of the time through the foreign keys. Now here through the instructor ID. So we select course code, course name, instructor name from the course table and instructor. And the as part is optional. So often when you join tables, it's better to use like these short aliases like C, for example, I, something like that. Because then if you just want to write from course instructor, then your where clause will be course.instructor ID equal to instructor.instructor ID, which is very long, right? So it's optional, you can just use as. And this is one way of joining tables, right? You just join them through the foreign key in your where condition. So you just list the tables in your from part, separate them by comma, and then write where course instructor ID is equal to instructor ID. And then you can always order by sort the result. How to join three tables? So this is also easy. So the same way, again, you select whatever column that you want to get. For example, course code, course name, student name. Now, course information are in the course table. Student information are in the student table. Why did I select this from the enrollment? Why did I need to include enrollment here? So let's think about it this way. What if I write select course code, course name, student name from course, comma, student, where, right? Now here's where you have to link the two tables. Where, what is the common field between course and the student?
Enrollment.
Nothing, right? Do you remember the ER model? And do you remember how I mentioned that the ER modeling is the most important part in like database design? It's because that should stick in your mind, the model of your database. And if that happens, then you're very like easy, you can write the queries. Otherwise, you can just write, if you don't know the logic behind it, if you don't know your data model, you just write, okay, course code name, student name from course and student, but course and student has no link. Course and student are like this. So we have the course entity here. We have a student here. If you remember, each course can have multiple students enrolled in that course. Each student can enroll in many courses. So this is a many-to-many relationship. We had an associative entity enrollment, right? Which is linked to both of these tables. So this was like this. Right? Do you see any link between course and student? No. So that is why here you also mention enrollment, because you need to use the enrollment table to link these two tables. So now, how to join three tables? You have to do 2 by 2. Again, ER modeling, you have to learn it really well, because that again helps you understand if you're joining 3 tables, which are the 2 tables that you have to link together. So for example, you cannot join course and student, but you have to join course and enrollment and student, right? So where course code is equal to enrollment course code, this is because course code is the common field between enrollment and course, right? So here, the primary key is course code. So this is your primary key. And we know that each associative entity has at least 2 attributes, right? At least. So those 2 attributes are the primary keys of the 2 entities that it's connected to, which are coming as foreign key here. So in this case, we have course code, which is a foreign key, right? And we also have a student ID, right? Which is also a foreign key here. Now together, these 2 are primary key. Now this is a student ID, primary. So how do we join course with enrollment? Using the common field or foreign key, which is course code. How do we join enrollment with a student? A student ID, which is the common. So where you write the first join and second join, right? Then order by if you want to sort your result in any order. If the same column name is used in 2 tables, we should specify which table it is from. So this is important because, for example, sometimes, if you remember, I mentioned for the foreign keys, you can use the same name or different name. For instance, if instructor ID in the course table is foreign key, right? Now, you can have instructor, for example, ID like this in the instructor table. So let's say we have instructor here. And these 2 are also linked together, right? Now, I may write instructor ID here, right? Which is my primary key. But in the course table, I'm allowed to use the same name or a different name. They are still referring to the same column. I can write, I don't know, instructor code, employee number, anything. Instructor code, something, which is different from here. So what this sentence says is that if I use the same name, that is, I use instructor ID here, if I use the same name, then I have to specify which table it is from, right? So for instance, when I'm writing here, for example, if I wanted to also include a student ID in my select part, it will give you an error if you write select course, a student ID, course code, etc. Because a student ID, right, could be from the instructor table, could be from the student table, right? Then, from the course table. Instructor ID could be from the instructor table or could be from the course table. Or, for example, a student ID could be from the enrollment table, could be from the student table. So you always have to specify that, okay? But if the names are different, then it is obvious which table it's from. Now, list course code, course name, student name for each course taught by Mona. How many tables should be joined here? We want course code, course name, student name, right? Course code and course name are in which table? Course table, right? A student name, which table? Is it in the course table? Do we have a student name in the course table? No, it's in the student table. So far, 2 tables, right? But we know the student and course are not directly linked together, right? So we also have to add enrollment. So far 3 tables. We have to join 3 tables so far. But we also want these only for courses taught by Mona. So Mona is an instructor, right? Instructor name now is in the instructor table, which is the 4th table, right? And the instructor is directly linked to course, no associative entity, so 4 tables are all we have to join. How do we join 4 tables? Again, the same way. Selecting whatever column you want to select from all the 4 tables, course, enrollment, student, instructor. And then you just, wherever you have link in your ER model, you write the conditions in your where clause, okay? So we have to join course with enrollment. So where, for example, course code is equal to enrollment course code, and a student ID is equal to enrollment student ID, right? And the last one. So I already linked or joined these two tables and these two tables, right? So 3 tables are covered. This is remaining. And how do you join this one? Instructor ID equal to course instructor ID, right? So this is also the foreign key in the course table. So this is your last join. Does it matter if I first join course and instructor, then course enrollment, and then this? No, doesn't. So where course, you join course and enrollment first, a student and enrollment next, and course and instructor final. And we also have a condition that the instructor name is Mona, right? So, and the instructor name is Mona. And these are all in your where clause, right? So, this explains joining tables with different links. So I mentioned in the staff and organization tables, we have 2 common attributes. One is the foreign key as usual, which is the department number. The other way you can join these 2 tables is through the staff ID, manager ID, which are basically the same. So I want to show you what is the difference and what is the how does it affect the result. Now, if you, for example, want to find people with job type as manager in each department, in each division, okay? So if you want to find that, how many tables should you join first here? Or do you need join at all? We want to find people with job type as manager in each department, each division. Now, I'm going to show you the 2 tables that we have. So here, okay, so this should work. Okay, so as you see, this is not case sensitive, right? This is your staff table, this is your organization table, and we want the people with job type as manager. So far, everything is in the staff table, right? So we have the staff name for the people here. We have the job type manager, also we can find it in the staff table. And do we have also division information here? No, division is here, right? Division is in the organization table. So that's why we need to join these tables. So back to the slides. Just remember what we have in these 2 tables. And now, actually, we have tables here. So how can I find employees or people with job type manager in each department, each division? Always start your query with whatever you can. Like, for example, write your select, then write your from, right? And then, for example, if you know what you want to select, which columns you want to select, just write that. If you know which tables you are going to select. So at your exam, I expect you, like this is the minimum I expect you. Like at minimum, I expect you to know to write your select and from part. Please do that. This is very easy, right? I understand if you confuse the group by having and so on, but please write this. Write select from. This is the part that you have to be able to write. You have to be able to write which column you want to select from. So we want people with job type as manager in each department, each division. So we want people named, right? For example, staff ID, staff name. Staff name. We also want job, right? Because the job should be manager. So another column we need is the job column. In each department and division, so we also want the department and the division, right? So these are what we want. So like the first three are in the staff table, but division is not in the staff table, so you have to add the organization table here, right? So now we have a staff organization. So we are basically joining tables because we are selecting from two tables. So at this point, I would definitely expect you to also write the next line, right? So this was easy, you have to be able to write. And I also expect you to write the condition to join these two tables, right? Where you can either try to join tables on the condition or use where, and I'm going to explain this in join later. So where, how do you join these two tables?
Using the department number.
Let's use department number. We know that for these two tables it's a bit tricky because we can join them in two different ways and they give us different results. So let's join them using department number where the staff department number. Actually, wait, let me write it there, here. Okay, so let me write it here. Leave this here. Equal to job manager. In each department, in each division. Okay, so we know that we have to select the staff name, for example, and department name, division. Okay. From staff and organization. So you see, as soon as I add the tables, those red curly lines disappear because it recognizes the columns. Otherwise, it gives you the curly lines, and you know that the names are not correct. Now, I told you you have to be able to write the condition now. How do you join the tables? Let's do it with the department, where the staff department number is equal to organization department number, right? So what does this do? It joins the staff table to the organization table, gives you all the common parts, right? Wherever these department numbers are equal, and join and retrieve all the other information in both tables, the columns in both tables, or the columns that we specified here, okay? But if you select the star, just gives you everything. Now, what are the conditions we have here? We want to find people. What is the condition?
Manager.
Where job is the manager, right? So, how can I write that? We know that we use the conditions in the where clause. We already have where there, so I use and. Job is manager. Right? Are we done? Why not? We want people with job type as manager, right? In each department and each division.
Should we not group it by department number? Sorry, department, yeah. Oh, no, actually, no.
Because we are already joining at the department number, right? So let's also, we can see that. Let's also order by division. Now, let's see what the result is. Okay, so now you can see that we have a table with the staff name, department name, and division. So we have the columns from both tables, right? Now, if I select the star here, you can better see what join does. If I write select star here, it will give you all the columns in both tables, right? So let's try with this. So, as you can see, I'm not able to scroll this here. Okay, anyways, it gives you all the columns. So, here. You see? So we have all the columns that we have in the organization and the staff tables. And so let's see how it works. So we join by the department number, and these are the two tables that we have. So it finds people with the job manager, right? And we also want the departments, right? Now, because we joined the tables based on the department number, as you can see, it finds all the departments, right? We have all the departments in the organization, and it finds these unique departments here, right? Where the job was manager, right? And so this is what it gives you as a result. Whereas, if you want to find the department manager in each division, how can you do that? You want to find the manager name in each division. Just to show you what were the results, these are the tables that we have. And we want to find the manager name in each division. So, we have manager ID here, right? We also have division in the organization table. But do we have manager name here? No. That's the staff name in the staff table. For example, manager ID 10, right? Manager ID 10 is a staff ID 10 pre-standard, right? Or manager 160 is Graham. So we need both tables, so we have to join tables. So you have to select a staff name, right? Maybe manager ID and division, right? From both these tables, from the staff and organization. How to join these two tables now? Now that we want the manager name for each division, how can we join these two tables? Someone tell me how to write this query. I'll give you a bonus. And don't check the answer. At least try. You may get an error. It's fine. You can try that. So let's skip this. Go back here. Okay, here. And I'm removing this too. So here, in the previous example, we joined these two tables using department number to find the the people with the job title manager, right? Now, we want to find department manager name. So, which are the parts of the SQL statement I expect you to answer? Select them from. So those are the parts that I expect you to answer. So select whatever column that the question asks you. So the question asks you department manager. So we need the staff name, right? staff name, and also in each division, so we also need the division. So this is the minimum you need. You may want to add other columns, like for example, manager ID, or maybe for example, department name. So maybe adding those two. So manager ID and department. The better way to write this is when you write select, write from first. So write the tables here, for example, tables staff and organization, right? Because when you do it, then it gives you here, if you like, for example, had a typo or whatever in the name of the tables, in the name of the columns, it shows, for example, here, the manager ID is the problem because we don't have a column with this name. So if I write this, right, it shows me that the column name is manager, which is actually that manager ID. Now, how can I join these two tables? Whoever tells me that, I'll give him a bonus 0.0001. No, 0.01. I really like how we have a lot of students here that don't even care about the bonus anymore. So the level of enthusiasm. So yes.
So you use the IDs, right? IDs in the both department, and you also use the job as manager. Because you give the manager.
So which column are you going to join?
The staff ID equals to
the staff ID manager ID, exactly. So where staff, and I'm going to join using both columns to see what is the difference. Okay. So as your friend said, we have to join them using staff, the staff ID, right? And organization manager. So these are the same column, another common column in these two tables, right? One common attribute was the foreign key, which is always the case, department number, or any foreign keys between tables. You can always join using foreign keys. But also, we have another common attribute here, which for this query, we have to use this, and you will see what is the difference. So let's order the result by division and department name. And that's it. So we join them using the staff ID and manager columns. And here is the result. So you get the manager names, right? As you can see, for example, manager ID 10 or Sanders Hans and so on, in each department and each division. Right? How many managers did we have in our table, in the original table? So for instance here, how many managers do we have? 1, 2,
5.
Actually we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 managers, right? Now out of these 5 managers, how many of them you can find here? So we have 160 here, we have 50, 10, 30, 90. I think in the tables that I have in my, I created, there are 4, and that's why it shows 4. So I'm going to check that. Okay, so first, let's go back here. Let's go here. And finding if my tables are exactly the same, I'm not sure. So this is my organization, it's 5, And yeah, that is what I expected. So as you see, my staff table, I don't have manager 160, right? And that is why in this query, I only get these 4 managers. Okay, is this clear? So when you actually join these 2 tables using the staff ID, let's see what happens. And let me also show you the other way. So if I now join these 2 tables, so I want to show you both ways. So in case in your exam you use the common field, which is the foreign key, join using department number. So if that's the case, so here instead of this, if I join a department, let's see what happens. And you can try this with me, okay? So the first one, join 2 tables based on the staff ID manager, right? And this is the result. The second query, join the same 2 tables using department name, right? Department number. And this is the result. The result is very different. And why is that? Because this is how it works. So I explained here. So when you join using department number, this is how it joins, right? But when you join using the staff ID or manager, which is the common field, this is how it works, right? So we find, for example, manager 160, which is here, and then the staff is here. Then goes to the next manager, which is 50, and then find the name, which is 100, right? Then go to the next one, 10, right? And then find the staff ID 10 in the staff table. Next one is 30, finding it in the staff table. And finally the 90, which finds it here. Now, in my result, the reason I got only 4 was because I didn't have in my original table when I created the staff table, I didn't include this last line. That was okay. So this is how you can join tables using different columns. Now let's say we want to write joins, not using where, but using the join itself. Okay, so this is another way. For example, we want to find manager's name for each division and each department. Okay. So, what are the columns you want in your select part? You want manager name, right? Which is in the staff table. You want division, which is in the organization table, and you want department, which is in both tables, right? So we need to join 2 tables. So you need to select the staff name, division, department name, right? From staff organization, both tables, where then join them. That was one way that we learned. Another way is explicitly using join. This is how you can do it. You select the columns that you want, here division, department name, staff name. From table 1, join table 2, right? And then writing where you want to join them. This is how you join using the foreign key or any other common attribute. So this is the only way difference in the syntax, right? The logic is the same. You will still are joining tables using the common attribute. But here, instead of writing from organization, comma, staff, you write from organization, join staff on this. And this is important. Learning this type of join is important because you may want to do left join or right join, right? In that case, it matters which table you write first on the left or right, and I'm going to explain that too. If you just write join, it works as inner join, only common attributes. If you write it this way, the same, only common attributes between the two tables, right? But sometimes we want everything from the first table, sometimes we want everything from the second table, and that's why we also have left and right join. So this is how you join the tables using join explicitly. And we already had this example before in these slides. This is just another way of writing the same query. And this is just a screenshot. So now the last thing I want to cover today is the type of joins. So it's very easy. Now that you know the concept of the join, we can easily understand how the left and right or outer inner join works. So inner join, remove all the unmatched rows and returns everything that is in common between two tables, right? The same way that we did so far. So it returned everything that is common in both A and B. Now, if you do outer join, in SQL Server, you don't even have to specify that. You just write left, right, and so on. So if you have left outer join, you have everything from the first table or the table on the left. What do I mean by left? If I write, for example, select from a staff join or left join, sorry. If I write left join, organization, which table is left? Staff. So it returns everything from the staff and the ones that are common from the right table, which is this one. Okay. If I write right join here, then it selects everything from the organization, which is the right table, and only the common ones from the left table. So, as you can see here, this is the left join, this is the right join, and this is the meaning of which table is on the left, which table is on the right. And full outer join is just when you want to have everything in both tables. Okay. So, for example, you may want to select course code instructor name from course, left outer join instructor, right? We are joining the course table with the instructor table on course instructor ID is equal to instructor ID, because instructor ID is the foreign key, is the common attribute, and that's the way that we link the tables. Now, what does this left outer join mean? What does it return? So, does it have, for example, you can think of it this way. I said it gets everything from the left table, which here is the course, right? And the common ones on the right. So does it include, for example, all the courses, even if there are no students even if those courses have no students yet, no instructor yet? For example, if we have a course for which the instructor is not announced yet, does this query return that?
I think so.
Yes, because we said it returns everything from the left table, which is the course, so it should return all the courses, no matter what. So it returns all the courses. And if there is an instructor in it, you can see the instructor name. If not, null, right? So return all the records from the left table and matching records from the right table, that is the instructors if exists. What if I want to find, I want to return course code and instructor name, but I want to return all the instructors, right? Even if those instructors are not teaching any courses. What type of join do you use? How do you return all instructors even if they are not teaching any course? So you still want to find the courses and instructor name. So you still need, and in the course table, you only have instructor ID, but we want instructor name. Instructor name is in the instructor table. So you know that you have to join the two tables. Now, if you just simply write join, use inner join, or write where, right? Using where, it only returns the common attributes, which means it only returns the courses for which we have instructors and the instructors for which they are teaching courses, right? It doesn't return a course if it doesn't have instructor yet. That is a course for which the instructor value is null. It also doesn't return the instructor for which the course value is null. That is the instructor that is not teaching the course, right? So if I want to get instructors, even if they are not teaching any courses, even if the course value for that is null. So let's say this is course code, this is instructor name, right? And this is 3401 instructor name Mona. 3421 instructor we don't know yet, right? Then we have, I don't know, third U1. Here is null. And then we have 4412, which is, I don't know, not free, and so on. So, and these are not in the same table, okay? I just wrote them here so that you know in terms of the result. So we know that instructor name is in the instructor table, right? Course code is in the course table. So we have a course table here. So this is our course table with the course code. For example, 3401, 3421, and so on. And course name, and then we only have instructor ID, right? And instructor is 1, 2, and so on. On the other hand, we have another table, instructor. Here, we have instructor ID, instructor name, and so on. So this is how we link two tables, right? To the common field or the foreign key. Now, we may have, you know that we may have some instructors, some professors in the universities that are not teaching. Maybe they are research students, maybe they got off from the teaching, so on. So there might be some instructors who are not teaching any courses, or we may have a course for which we don't have instructor yet. For instance, 3421 for winter is still, for some sections, doesn't have an instructor. 1015 in the fall is still not clear who is the instructor of, for example, section C, right? So we may have some null values. If you just select, for example, course code and instructor name from course and instructor, right? Where join these two tables, it only returns all the matching values. Even if you use inner join, it's the same. So this is like writing the inner join. But if you want to get all the courses, even if they don't have any instructors, how can you write that? So you select, let's say select the star, just to get it easy. From course, and I want all the courses, even if there is no instructor for them. So everything from this table, right? Even if there is nothing in the instructor. Course, left join, right? Instructor. This means everything from the course table, even if the corresponding value here is null. that is courses that do not have instructor. What is another way of writing it? And then here, you have to also use on, right? On, then how you want to join the tables, for example, on course book equal to, instructor ID, instructor ID. Now, what is another way of writing the same query? If you want to find all the courses, even if there is no instructor, using right join, right? If I change the order, if I write here instructor, so in left and right join, that is why the order of the tables now matters, right? If I write instructor first, and then course, and if I want to find all the courses, even if there is no instructor for them, should I write left join or right join here? All the courses, even if no instructor, left join or right join? Right join. Because right join means everything from the right table, even if the left one is null. Everything from course, even if instructor is null. So you can swap the position of these two and change right and left join. Now what if I write select star from course, right join instructor? What does it return? What does it return? Now it's course right join instructor.
I think it returns all the instructors regardless of whether they teach a course.
Exactly. All the instructors, even if the course value for those instructors is null. That is Mona, Godfrey, Dr. Yuan, right? All these three instructors, even though Dr. Yuan is not teaching any courses, right? Another way of writing it using left join, if you write it left join, then you have to change the position of these two, right? Because then you want to get all the instructors, right? Even if, so now everything from the left table, even if there's nothing in the right table. So it's just, everything is just so logical, yeah? And union, so these are very easy. You can also read them yourself, just quickly explaining. So if you want to combine the result set of two or more select statement, you can think of it as if you want to combine two select. Usually students may confuse union with join, so this is to explain that. When you're joining tables, if you remember, when I select star and join tables, staff and organization, it returns all the columns from both tables, right? So it's like it extends the table horizontally, right? Because it just added to the columns. So two tables with common value combine data into new columns. This is the join. But union is when you combine data into new rows. So you have this table, right? You add the data from the table 2. Can you tell me from the picture what should be the condition to use union between two tables? Because you cannot union any two tables.
They have something in common. They have something in common.
Yeah, and what is that thing should have to be in common?
They should have the same number of columns.
Same number of columns. You cannot union table 1 which has 10 columns with the table that has 20 columns, right? That's the first thing. Second, let's say column 1 is a student name, which is varchar, and the first column in the second table is something numeric. You cannot do that again, right? So the two tables should have the same number of columns, same data type, right? Because it's going to create a new table with the same same number of columns, and right? It should know, for example, what is the data type of this column. If the data type of table 1 and 2 is not the same, in the resulting table, how can it decide what is the data type of this column, right? So they should be the same. This is an example of when you can use union. You can think of it as two, like sticking to select statement. For example, listing all employees with less than 3 years employment and applicants with more than 14 years education, right? So the first one, we have the staff table, we have the number of figures, so we select start from staff where years is less than 3. And let's say we have an applicant table with the same number of columns, right? The only difference is that the staff is now an applicant. And the staff ID is applicant ID, staff name, applicant name, the data types are the same, everything is the same. So in that case, you can union select the start from applicant where developer education is, for example, greater than something. So this is the condition that I explained. And these are just some extra for your practice. If you want to, for example, use correlation variables, for example, listing employees whose salary is greater than the salary of managers in the same department, okay? So, X and Y, so sometimes whatever you want to select all exist in the same table, okay? So, for example, here you want to find employees whose salary is greater than salary of the managers, but we know that managers are employees themselves, right? Manager and employees are both employees. But we want to compare the salary of these two types of employees that we have. So how can we do it? Because they are referring to the same table, so we can think of it as giving it different names. So once you have, for example, a staff as X, the other time as Y, right? So one referring to the staff, one referring to the manager, right? One referring to the employee, the other one referring to the manager. And then in this way, you would be able to compare the salary of X with salary of Y, right? Because X refer to the employees, Y refer to the manager. And this is what you defined here. So, for example, you mentioned that Y job is manager, meaning that you defined Y as manager and X job not manager. So whatever other job that we have, other employees who are not manager, they are X. And we want to find those employees, that is those X's whose salary, that is X salary, is greater than manager salary, which is Y salary. So it's a bit complicated, it needs more practice, seeing like more similar queries, but just wanted to include this to know that sometimes all you have is within the same table and you're actually joining that table with itself based on a column, right? Because we know that we have different types of employees. Could be manager, could be not. And that's it.